just a real quick thing, we now have an in-game channel where we can discuss things and talk about things and say things. I need a thesaurus. But if you want to stick around, hang out, chat, help other people figure out some fits or what have you, feel free to stop by and say hi. The Phantasm is a cruiser-sized vessel in the Sanchez Nation lineup, capable of high maneuverability and solid damage projection over a range of engagement profiles. To see why, we must first talk about the bonuses the hull provides. The Caldari skills per level are 20% bonus to Afterburner Velocity bonus. This allows for near micro warp drive speeds without the risk of scram slowing you down, and also means you don't have to have the capacitor penalty that comes with flying on a micro warp drive system. The Amar skills per level is 7.5% bonus to weapon tracking. This allows for excellent application against smaller ships, especially those that need to use micro warp drives to keep up with you. The roll bonus here is a 150% bonus to medium energy turret damage. This means that instead of just a measly 3 that you can fit on it, your ship effectively has 7.5 turrets to fire with, giving it a solid DPS number. Alright, before we get into the fittings of this ship, let's talk about what it can actually fit. So you have 4 high slots and 3 turrets, leaving you 1 utility high slot for a NOS or a Nude if you so wish. Usually you'll be out of range to use those though. In the mids, you got 6 mid slots, giving you quite the impressive shield tank, or quite a few utility slots. The lows are standard 5, usually used for 3 damage, a damage control unit, and a prop mod of sorts. And then you got the 3 rigs. And also don't forget about the 3 drones that you can fit in there. They are significant and good for defanging other ships with limited drone bays as well. It's not to go underestimated. Some common fittings people use on the Phantasm is a beam lasers for effective kiting, since the pulse lasers have poor application past 20-30 kilometers and your beams can pretty easily hit out that far. Or scram kiting with a faction scram, so you fit either the Caldari Navy or the Republic Fleet scram and you can stay out to 10 to 14 kilometers, which is well outside scram range and most web ranges, making it easier for you to just pick on someone or bully them out of their spot. Some typical ways to fly the Phantasm is, well, just double click in space and shoot whatever tries to keep up with you. Since you're pretty fast, it takes a lot to keep up with you, and if something's micro warp driving, it's going to be pretty easy to hit, even if it's a lot smaller than you in ship size. I've seen several times a small gang of Phantasms pick apart much larger gangs because they send their light tackle out to try and keep up with them and pin them down, but they can't quite do it, and this allows for Phantasms to just quickly pick apart that light tackle and then harass the inner group, especially if the inner group tries to keep up but Logi can't. And another way to fly this I've seen is orbiting between 20 and 30 kilometers, since this means you'll be out of optimal for most weapon systems, and usually if somebody's flying a rapid light missile system, if they don't kill you with that first clip, which usually they won't if you're fit well, it means you'll probably kill them before they finish their reload. So the question might come up, on this ship, what should I bling? It's a pirate faction cruiser after all, so I probably want to price out some things, because it's a pricier hull. Well, if you're going to bling anything, bling that Afterburner. Spring for the C-type. It'll help so much and gives you so much more speed and maneuverability when facing other targets. Another thing you can do is bling the Scram, so that way you can scram kite a little better, but I don't think you need to do that. If you're fitting a buffer, you could also get I think it's a Republic Fleet large shield extender. That will also help you. Since you're using an Afterburner, it's okay if you fit some more shield stuff to boost your sig radius. Well, not to boost your sig radius, but to boost your tank, because the sig radius penalty isn't very much. Not nearly as much so as if you were flying something with a micro warp drive. So the next question is, what should you engage? You can engage quite a few things with the Phantasm. Specifically, slow, brawly armor boats are really easy for a solo or even a group of Phantasms to just pick on. And small gangs of smaller ships are pretty easy to pick on, sometimes fun even. You can get a lot of good fights even if you're vastly outnumbered by small ships. You can usually kill a lot of them before getting taken out or even just getting away. Some things you want to disengage, for sure, is anything with a long-range web or heavy webbing. For example, the Belgorn, the Ashimu, even something with a Kruer. You want to stay away from those because webs are going to kill you. Like, if somebody gets 2 webs on you, you're in a bad way because you need to be able to move around and use that afterburner to its full ability. Faster kitier ships. An Orthrus might be a good one. Flown properly, it can keep up to you, or it'll just run away if it starts to lose. And the same thing with a Cynable. I have a fight in here with a Cynable, and I end up losing while I'm in the Cynable, but I wasn't fit very well, I don't think. I don't fly that one very often, so I don't claim to be a professional with that. Alright, next let's go on to the threat assessment, the final part. So let's look at the tank. The tank is pretty moderate. It doesn't really have the room to fit an extra large ancillary shield booster on it, nor can it fit like a crazy triple armor rep tank, but it's got a decent shield buffer, especially if you fit 2 large shield extenders on it, and then an adaptive invuln, can make it pretty good. But the biggest part about its tank is its speed and its sig radius. This will keep it alive more than any other kind of tank, which is why predominantly Phantasms are fit to be buffer shield tanked. Alright, now to the maneuverability. I give this a critical just because that afterburner bonus is so incredible and allows you to hit such high speeds without having to hit that penalty, and also if you put an internal nanofiber you can turn pretty quickly, which it's crazy for a cruiser. And since you're a smaller vessel and picking on bigger ships, you can just kind of duck in and out of scram range with them, and even if they land a scram on you, you're going to be just fine. And even 1 web isn't the worst because you're still going way faster than somebody with a scram. Or a micro warp drive that is scrammed, I'm sorry. Its offense, I give it a moderate because of its 7.5 effective turrets, which is more than most ships in the cruiser class get. Typically the Tech 1 cruisers will get between 4 and 6, and the Pirate faction get between 6 and 8. So it's not super impressive, but it's still really good against Tech 1 as far as its DPS and effective turrets go. And its ability to keep range out at 20 to 30 means that it can consistently deal those damage numbers even if it's pretty far away from you. It's not anything near blaster numbers, but since it can get so far away and keeps it fairly safe, it's pretty solid. The flexibility, I give quite a high number on this actually, simply because you can fit beam lasers, pulse lasers, they both work. You can fit a buffer, an active tank, you can do brawling, scram kiting, or long point kiting, and even with its kitey preference, a lot of people still use it for frontline brawling when there's Logi support, so it can fit a number of roles fairly easily, especially because it has 5 lows. It's just incredibly flexible. Alright, now for the overall ranking. Its overall threat I give a high, because as a solo pilot, the number of engagements you can take and the amount of damage you can deal to one pilot or even a small gang of pilots is incredible. And it's got a solid buffer, so even if you get caught out in a bad situation, it's fairly forgiving. Even a group of Phantasms, like I've been saying probably this entire video, is really effective when flown properly, and a skilled pilot can really shine in this vessel. As far as its bait probability, probably not. It's pretty pricey, so it tends to draw quite of attention. So you can use it. I've never seen it done personally, but that doesn't mean it can't really be done.